Welcome to Book by Book, our channel, where we take these incredible self-improvement guides and really distill them down into clear, practical summaries for you.
Today, we are immersing ourselves in a really impactful work. It's Nick Trenton's guide, Rewire Your Anxious Brain.
And this one feels so timely. I mean, if you feel like anxiety has just become the soundtrack of your life, the racing thoughts, the pressure to be perfect, just the sheer noise of everything, then this summary is absolutely for you.
It really is.
Our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're not just reading a summary, we're giving you an actionable framework, all drawn from Trenton's insights.
Right, because anxiety can feel like this enemy, constantly attacking your peace.
Exactly. And the goal here is to show you how to transform it into more of a guide, something you can manage and even learn from. We'll get into the big ideas, the core lessons, and of course the actual tools he offers to take back control.
And what I love about Trenton's approach is that he cuts through all the clinical jargon. He takes these big fields like cognitive behavioral science, neuroscience, and he just makes them accessible. It's not therapy talk, it's a practical manual.
It really is, and the relevance right now is just staggering. You look at workplace burnout, the whole comparison game on social media, economic uncertainty. Anxiety isn't a niche clinical issue anymore.
No, it's become a common experience. I mean, this is basically essential life literacy for navigating the world we live in today.
Absolutely. So Trenton sort of validates this struggle, right? He says, yes, this is hard, but then immediately follows up with, and here's the step-by-step way to change it.
That's the hope he offers.
Okay, let's unpack this core idea that really changes everything.
So the foundational truth, the thing Trenton really needs us to get on board with is this. Anxiety itself is not the enemy. It's not bad.
Right. It's a survival emotion.
It's a survival emotion, exactly. It's hardwired into us for a reason. It was there to warn us of the tiger in the bush. That's its purpose.
The problem is, our brains haven't caught up to the 21st century.
Not at all. So now that same powerful survival response gets triggered by, what, an overflowing inbox? Or a critical email from your boss?
Yeah, things that are not, in fact, a tiger in the bush.
Precisely. So the emotion is necessary, but its triggers are. They're completely misaligned with our modern reality, and that misalignment is what leads to that constant, exhausting state of fear.
And this becomes a loop, right? He has a great analogy for this.
He does, the groove in the road.
The groove analogy is so good, it explains how habits form. So your brain is efficient, right? It wants to take the easy path, the path of least resistance.
So if you worry about the same thing over and over, let's say public speaking, you are literally driving your mind down the same dirt path. And each time, that path gets deeper and deeper until it's this huge automatic groove.
It becomes a default. The brain just snaps right into it without you even thinking.
Exactly. And that's why it's so hard to resist that automatic worry. But here's where the empowering part comes in. This is the core premise of the whole book. Because anxiety is a learned habit.
It can be unlearned.
It can be unlearned. Your brain is rewritable. It has neuroplasticity. Your responses are trainable. So your anxiety is, at its core, manageable. He says, anxiety is a habit your brain learned, which means it can learn something new.
That's such a powerful reframe. It takes you from feeling helpless, like it's your biological fate, to feeling like, okay, this is a software program and I can rewrite the code.
Yes. And to do that rewrite, he gives us this really simple 3-pillar framework. It's the strategy for deliberately changing those grooves.
Okay, so the first pillar is awareness of thought patterns.
Right. Because we're so often fused with our anxiety, the thought happens and we just accept it as truth. I'm going to fail.
We don't question it.
You don't. So Trenton says we have to create a gap, a pause. You have to move from that automatic fear response to consciously recognizing, oh, there's that pattern again. You can't change a habit you can't see.
Okay, so that's pillar one, just noticing. What's number 2?
Pillar 2 is maybe the biggest one. Reinterpretation of anxiety. Anxiety shows up in the body, right? The racing heart, the sweaty palms.
Oh yeah, the physical feeling.
And most people feel that and their brain screams, danger! It's a secondary fear. You start fearing the feeling of fear itself.
It's a huge part of panic attacks.
It's a huge part. So Trenton's instruction is simple. Consciously relabel those symptoms. It's not danger, it's just discomfort. It's unpleasant, yes, but it's not going to kill you.
So you're basically talking to your emotional brain and saying, hey, I feel this, but it's just adrenaline. We're okay.
You are literally deflating its power in that moment. And that leads to the 3rd pillar, which connects the mind to the real world. Intentional behavior and daily habits.
Right, because thinking about it isn't enough.
Not at all. Rewiring the brain requires consistent action. Neuroplasticity runs on repetition. It's the small daily choices, how you breathe, how you respond, how you organize your space. Those are the tools that build the new road.
So what does this all mean for you, the person listening, the so what of it all?
So what is that if you actually commit to these three pillars, it's about more than just feeling less anxious. It changes your confidence because you know you can handle discomfort. It changes your decision-making because you're using your rational brain instead of your reactive one.
It improves your emotional stability.
Profoundly. You become a more reliable partner, friend, employee. Learning to work with that anxious energy instead of just fighting it. It's a life-changing skill.
It's about taking that survival energy and focusing it, making it constructive instead of letting it paralyze you.
Exactly.
Okay, so the first big area he gets into is cognitive mastery. This is all about gaining control over your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Let's start with lesson 1, anxiety as an unlearned pattern.
Right, and we need to really sit with this idea of it being a learned habit because that removes all the shame. You didn't choose this. Your brain it learned a shortcut, and that shortcut was fear.
Yeah, back to that forest path analogy.
Good.
Your mind is a dense forest. Every time you face something uncertain, your brain points to the path that's already cleared, the what-if path.
What if I mess up? What if they don't like me?
Right. And every time you choose to walk down that path by worrying or avoiding, you make it clearer and wider. After a few years, it's not a path anymore. It's a 4-lane highway.
Mm-hmm. And the solution he offers, the counter analogy, is the garden. I love this one. Your brain isn't just a machine. It's a living garden. If you do nothing, the weeds will take over.
The weeds being the anxious, catastrophic thoughts.
Exactly. They grow effortlessly. The work of rewiring is to stop just letting the weeds grow and to start intentionally planting new seeds. Seeds of calm, of rational thought, of self-compassion.
You have to water them and nurture them.
You do. And over time, the new garden you're planting it overtakes and starves out the old weeds. It's less about a violent battle and more about patient cultivation.
And that takes real conscious effort. Let's take social anxiety as an example.
Okay, so the old learned path is crowds equal danger. That's the automatic thought. The new path requires small, consistent actions.
So maybe you don't jump into a giant party.
No, you start small. You maybe agree to go for just 15 minutes. Then, next time, you commit to making eye contact with one person. Then after that, you ask someone a simple question.
And each time you do that and nothing terrible happens,
You are providing your brain with new evidence. You are literally paving a new, non-fearful highway right next to the old one. Eventually, that new path becomes the default route.
okay, that leads perfectly into the next lesson, which, I mean, if there's one phrase to remember from this entire summary, it's this one.
I know which one you mean.
Your thoughts are not facts.
Yes, that is the cornerstone of everything. The problem is something called cognitive fusion. When we're anxious, we don't experience thoughts as ideas. We experience them as commands or as reality.
The thought, I'm going to embarrass myself, feels like a fact.
It feels like a prophecy. So Trenton says you have to practice being the observer of your thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. The thought they're judging me is just a mental event. It's a prediction from your emotional brain based on past fears, not the present reality.
So they're just possibilities, emotionally charged possibilities, but possibilities nonetheless.
Exactly. And to get there, he offers these cognitive distancing techniques. The first one is so simple but so effective. Labeling the thoughts.
So instead of thinking, I'm going to fail this presentation,
You internally say, there's a worry, or that's a catastrophic prediction, or my favorite, that's the story my anxiety is telling me right now. Just that little act of labeling creates a space between you and the thought.
it's like you're a librarian sorting thoughts. This one goes in the anxious fiction section.
Totally. And then you have to separate the raw emotion from objective logic. He compares thoughts to passing clouds. You can just watch them drift by. They aren't solid. They only become a problem when we grab onto them and start wrestling with them.
Okay, so how do you do that in a moment of panic?
Yeah.
He gives some practical questions to ask, right?
He does 3 challenging questions to force your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, to get involved and override the panicky amygdala.
What's the first one?
Question 1, what evidence do I actually have for this thought? And you have to be strict about it. Real, tangible evidence from right now. Not a feeling, not a memory, but a fact.
Okay, evidence. Number 2.
Number 2, what would I tell a close friend who voiced this exact fear? This is brilliant because we are so much kinder and more rational with our friends than we are with ourselves.
That is so true. You'd never tell your friend, yeah, you're right, you're probably going to fail miserably.
Never. You'd be compassionate and logical, so you have to turn that voice inward.
And the third question.
And finally, number 3. Is this objectively true? Or is it just an anxiety-driven assumption based on my past? This helps you realize how often you're just projecting a past failure onto a brand new situation.
Using these questions, you're kind of becoming a detective for your own thoughts, challenging the narrative instead of just blindly believing it.
You're taking back control.
Okay, let's talk about a really subtle one now, lesson 5. Perfectionism, anxiety in disguise.
Ah, yes. The high achiever's anxiety. Because perfectionism doesn't look like a problem on the surface, does it? It looks like dedication, ambition.
It gets praised a lot of the time.
It does. But at its core, it's a deep fear of judgment and an intolerance for any kind of uncertainty. For perfectionists, anything less than 100% isn't a small mistake, it's a catastrophe.
Because they've tied their self-worth directly to their performance.
Exactly. So any mistake feels like a threat to their very identity. That creates this constant internal pressure cooker. Your nervous system is always on high alert because failure is just not an option.
And that's not just about work. It could be about relationships. I have to be the perfect partner. Or health. I must follow this diet flawlessly.
Absolutely. If flawlessness is the goal, anxiety is guaranteed. Life is not flawless.
So what's the antidote? He calls it the imperfection solution.
Right. It's about consciously, deliberately lowering the bar from perfect to good enough. You set goals that are about consistent progress, not a flawless outcome.
So instead of trying to get 100% and feeling like a failure at 95, you aim for 80 and feel like a success at 85.
Precisely. It's a mindset shift. And it requires practice. You have to practice allowing small mistakes. Send the email that isn't perfectly worded. Hand in the first draft. You build a tolerance for that feeling of vulnerability.
And underneath all of that is detaching your self-worth from what you achieve.
That's the deepest work. Realizing your value as a person is inherent. It doesn't change based on your last project's success. That shift alone can dramatically lower your baseline anxiety level.
So it's not about being less driven. It's about shifting that drive. So it comes from a love of the process, not a fear of failure.
You've got it. That's the core of it.
Okay, so if that whole section was about our thoughts, the next big piece is about our actions. Behavioral activation. This is about what you do.
Yes, and understanding that critical feedback loop between the mind and the body, we're moving from thinking to doing.
Let's start with lesson 3. Calming the body calms the mind. This is so important because anxiety is physical first, isn't it? The amygdala sounds the alarm and your body gets flooded with cortisol. Your heart starts racing.
Right, it's preparing you to fight or flee. And those physical feelings, the tight chest, the shortness of breath, they reinforce the mental panic. The body is screaming danger and the brain listens.
So you have to break that loop by talking directly to the body.
You do, and the most direct way is through your breath. Specifically by focusing on a long exhale. This activates the vagus nerve, which is like the master switch for your body's relaxation response.
The rest and digest system.
Exactly. So when you make your exhale longer than your inhale, say breathe in for 4 seconds and out for 6, you are sending a direct physiological signal to your brain that says, the threat is over, we are safe, stand down.
And you can do that anywhere, anytime. It's an immediate tool.
It's your emergency brake. And beyond breathing, he also talks about progressive muscle relaxation.
Where you tense and then release your muscles.
Because anxiety creates so much physical tension, clenched jaw, hyped up shoulders. PMR teaches your body the difference between tense and relaxed. You become more aware of that tension so you can release it before it builds into a full-blown stress response.
And for those acute moments, like a panic attack starting, he has grounding techniques.
Yes, the 5-4-3-2-1 sensory method. This is a lifesaver. You force your brain out of the future-tripping worry spiral and into the present moment.
By naming 5 things you can see.
4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. It hijacks your brain's attention. It forces you to focus on what's real right now, which starves the panic.
There's one more I love. The cold exposure trick.
Oh yeah, the biological reset button. Splashing cold water on your face, especially around your eyes, triggers something called the mammalian diving reflex.
What does that do?
It instantly lowers your heart rate and redirects blood flow. It's a physiological circuit breaker. It gives you just a few seconds of clarity to choose your next response instead of just reacting.
And all of these tools create this positive feedback loop. Your body feels safe, so it tells your brain it's safe, which makes your body feel even safer.
Exactly. You're building resilience with every successful interruption of that panic cycle.
Okay, now we have to talk about the most tempting and most destructive coping mechanism of all, avoidance.
This siren song of anxiety, it feels so good in the moment, doesn't it? The fear says stay home, you stay home, and poof, instant relief.
But it's a trap.
It is the biggest trap, because every time you avoid something, you are telling your brain, see? That thing really was dangerous, good thing we ran away. You are reinforcing the fear. As Trenton says, avoidance feels safe, but it only strengthens fear.
So the answer isn't to just throw yourself into the deep end, which can backfire.
No, absolutely not. The answer is progressive exposure. Small, gradual, measured steps into the feared situation. The goal is to collect small wins.
You're building a new library of evidence for your brain that says, hey, this is actually manageable.
Let's use a common one. Fear of making important phone calls. Avoidance is just letting them pile up. Progressive exposure might start with just calling a customer service line with a simple question.
Low stakes.
Very low stakes. Then maybe you call a friend. And only after that do you tackle the difficult call you've been avoiding. Each step builds on the last. Your brain learns from the non-catastrophic experience.
It's like you're starving the fear.
That's the stray cat analogy he uses. Avoidance is like feeding a stray cat. It guarantees we'll come back tomorrow. Taking a tiny action, even when you're scared, is like deciding not to put food out. The cat will protest, the fear will spike, but eventually it learns there's no reward here and it moves on.
Action, even when you're afraid, is the cure.
That's the bottom line.
Okay, this brings us to another big belief system to tackle, the idea that emotions just happen to us.
Right. A lot of people feel like they're just victims of their own emotional weather. Trenton argues, no, emotional regulation is a skill. It's something you learn and practice. It's about building your EQ.
And he makes a key distinction. He says, you don't need to control your emotions. You need to control your responses.
Yes. The feeling is just a signal, a piece of data. It's what you do with that data that matters.
So how do you build that skill? He has steps for this, too.
He does. A 4-step strategy. First, name precisely what you are feeling. Don't just settle for, I feel bad. Is it frustration? Is it envy? Is it disappointment? Be specific.
Because the solution for frustration is different from the solution for disappointment.
Totally. Second, identify the specific trigger. What actually set this off? It wasn't just my whole day. It was that one comment or that one email. Pinpoint it.
Okay, so name the feeling, find the trigger. What's third?
Third, question the narrative. This goes back to thoughts not being facts. What's the story you're telling yourself about this trigger and this feeling? Is it the only possible story? Is there a less threatening explanation?
And finally, you shift your focus.
Yes. You shift from ruminating on the feeling to finding a potential solution. What is one small, constructive thing I can do right now? You redirect that energy from the problem to the action.
He has a great analogy for this process, the snow globe.
The snow globe is perfect. When anxiety hits, it's like someone violently shakes your mental snow globe. Everything is a chaotic swirl of thoughts and feelings. You can't see anything clearly.
And trying to grab the individual snowflakes is impossible.
Impossible. Emotional regulation is the act of consciously setting the snow globe down on a table and just waiting. You don't fight the chaos. You just provide stillness, and you wait for the snow to settle on its own so you can see clearly again.
I love that. You allow the chaos to exist, but you choose not to engage with it, trusting that clarity will return.
Exactly.
So far, we've been very internal thoughts, body, actions. But Trent makes a huge point that we don't exist in the bubble. We have to look at our surroundings.
This is lesson 7. Environment shapes anxiety.
Your brain is basically a sponge, right? It's absorbing signals from your environment all day long.
Constantly. And if those signals are chaotic or stressful, they are feeding that low-level hum of anxiety. He talks about external absorbers, cluttered spaces, toxic relationships, the constant barrage from social media and the news.
If your outside world is a mess, your inside world will be a mess.
It's nearly impossible to find internal calm in an environment of external chaos. So a huge part of the work is rewiring the outside.
And this is so practical, like literally clean your desk.
Yes, it's not just about being tidy. A clear space sends a signal of order and control to your brain. It's about creating visual calm.
And being ruthless with your digital environment, too.
Absolutely. Limiting news, especially the doom scrolling. Setting hard limits on social media, particularly first thing in the morning and last thing at night when your brain is most suggestible.
You also have to set boundaries with people.
This is a big one. If there are people in your life who consistently spike your stress levels, you have to manage that interaction. It undermines all the other work you're doing. Create tech-free zones in your home. Build predictable routines.
All of this external structure provides the stable foundation you need to do the hard internal work.
It lowers your baseline level of stimulation, which gives your thinking brain a much better chance of staying in charge.
So now let's get into the why. For the listeners who need to know the science behind all this, why does this stuff actually work?
Right. It's not magic. It's based on how your brain is designed. The number one concept is neuroplasticity.
The idea that your brain can physically change.
Yes. It's not a fixed organ. It's constantly adapting based on your experiences, your thoughts, and your actions. There's a rule in neuroscience. Neurons that fire together wire together.
So every time you have an anxious response, you're strengthening that connection. You're deepening the groove.
But, and this is the hopeful part, every time you choose a different response, like a deep breath or challenging a thought, you're forcing new neurons to fire together. You're building a new pathway. Repetition is literally the engine of physical change in your brain.
And this all plays out in what he calls the two-brain model.
You have your emotional brain, which is run by the amygdala. Think of it as a super fast, primitive smoke detector. It's all about immediate survival.
And it has a lot of false alarms in the modern world.
A ton. Then you have the thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, or PFC. That's the CEO. It's for logic, planning, and putting things in context.
So managing anxiety is really a power struggle between the two.
It's about encouraging the CEO to take the lead. The amygdala hijacks the system with panic. All of Trenton's techniques, labeling thoughts, breathing, asking questions, are designed to force the slower, more rational PFC to get online and calm the smoke detector down.
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's the anxiety cycle.
Right. It flows in a sequence. Trigger a thought, emotion, physical response, behavior.
Like trigger, an email from your boss. Thought, I'm in trouble. Emotion, fear, physical response, heart races, behavior, avoid opening the email.
And that cycle reinforces itself. But the key is, you can break the chain at any link. You don't have to start at the thought. If you intervene at the physical response level with breathing, you disrupt the whole sequence.
So you can calm your body even if your mind is still racing, and that can stop the whole spiral.
Exactly. Which brings us to the last big concept, behavioral activation. The old way of thinking was that you had to feel better before you could act.
Wait to feel confident before you do the scary thing.
Which is a trap, because your anxious brain will never give you permission. Behavioral activation flips that. It says action leads to confidence, which reduces anxiety.
They have to act first.
You have to act first, even when you're scared, because the successful action provides your brain with new, undeniable evidence that you can handle it. That evidence is what actually rewires the fear. It's why those tiny steps are so powerful.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. We've talked about the concepts, but what can you do right now to start rewiring your brain?
This is the toolkit. We've boiled it down to the 10 most actionable takeaways from the book.
All right, number 1.
First, label your anxious thoughts. Don't just think I'm failing. Call it what it is. That's a worry or that's a story. Create that space.
Number 2, use the 5-second rule. When you're stuck in a loop of overthinking, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then physically move. Do something small. It breaks the mental inertia.
Third, slow your breathing, focus on the exhale. Make your exhale longer than your inhale. This is your direct line to your body's calm down system. Do it the second you feel that physical spike.
Number 4, this one's tough. Do the opposite of what anxiety wants. Anxiety wants you to shrink and hide. You have to do the smallest possible version of the opposite. If it says don't email, you just write the subject line.
Small actions are the key. Fifth, challenge catastrophic thinking. When your mind goes to the worst case scenario, stop. Articulate the worst case, the best case, and then the most realistic case.
Which is almost always somewhere in the middle. Okay, number 6.
Reduce stimulation ruthlessly. Your brain is not a machine. Limit screens, news, and noise. Give your nervous system a break. Seventh, practice good enough thinking. Ditch perfectionism. Aim for consistent B+ work instead of a paralyzing A+. Progress over perfection.
8th, ground yourself in the present. When your mind spirals, use the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 sensory method to pull yourself back to the here and now. Stop the mental time travel.
Love that one. Number 9.
Reframe anxiety as preparation. Instead of a sign of doom, ask, what is this feeling trying to prepare me for? Turn that nervous energy into a focused plan.
And finally, number 10.
Create a supportive environment. Declutter your space, set firm boundaries, build structure into your day. Your external world supports your internal world.
Wow. Okay, so to pull all of that together, if you only remember 5 things from this whole summary, what are they?
Okay, top 5. First, your thoughts are not facts, they're just suggestions. Second, avoidance feeds fear. Action shrinks it.
Third, calm your body to calm your mind. Use your breath.
Fourth, perfectionism is anxiety in disguise. Aim for progress. And fifth, rewiring happens through small, consistent daily habits. You build it brick by brick. Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from Trenton's work. You are not helpless. You are not broken. This whole process, done one thought, one breath, one small action at a time, it's a real, tangible path from panic to peace.
The tools are all there. The change is absolutely possible. You just have to start with that first conscious decision.
As we wrap up this book-by-book summary, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've established that anxiety evolved for survival, right? To make us alert and prepared. So instead of trying to eliminate it, what's the healthiest way to harness that protective energy? How can you consciously leverage that state of high alert for focused preparation instead of letting it spiral into crippling worry?
Thank you so much for engaging with this summary of Rewire Your Anxious Brain. We really hope these lessons give you some clarity and a path forward.
Yeah, we really do.
And if you found this summary helpful for your own journey, please take a moment right now to like this episode, share it with anyone you think might benefit, and most importantly, subscribe to the Book by Book channel. Your support truly does motivate us to keep bringing you the best book summaries out there.